think of my grandma every time I used this club pot. You knew when she got out her club pot, it was going to be some good eating. I don't have a recipe, so I just kind of winged this. I was craving broccoli and potato soup, cheesy broccoli and potato soup. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I did was I cut up 3 medium-sized potatoes just in chunks. You can cut those however you like to. And we like the potato skins, but you can peel these. I poured a whole container, which is 4 cups of chicken broth, on those potatoes. We are not going to cook these until they're absolutely done. You're going to cook these till they're almost done, and you can test that by sticking a fork in it. This took about 20 minutes, and after 20 minutes, we are going to add a can of evaporated milk. Keep in mind, I am just throwing this together. Now, if you had fresh broccoli, that would be best, but this is all I had, and sometimes you just use what you got, and you know what? It turned out great. This is a 12-ounce package of frozen broccoli florets that I'm adding. Then I decided I needed another can of evaporated milk. And once you pour this milk in, you are going to want to cut your stovetop eye or your burner down to low because you do not want your milk to scorch. And it will if you cook this too high. And you could have added those broccoli florets in the beginning. It just depends on how you like your broccoli. Some people like it soft, very soft. Some people like it a little more crunchier. That just depends on you. I'm going to thicken this soup with some flour, and I've got about 3 tablespoons of flour and some cold water. Make sure the water's cold because it'll mix really well and be smooth. So just mix that together, and we're just going to pour that right in. Now you can use cornstarch if you would like to thicken this, but I've always used flour and cold water. You may see just a few little chunks of it in it when you pour it in. Don't worry about that, it will dissolve. Now let's add some salt and pepper. Lots and lots of pepper. You do you, I like lots of pepper. On another note, I did use low sodium chicken broth, so I did add a little more salt. So you do want to watch your sodium in this. I did add cracked pepper and ground pepper, and you just season this with love. Just have how much pepper or salt you want. Add a tablespoon of minced garlic. I am just throwing this together, making up this recipe. I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of onions. Now you could have added this when you added the broccoli, or you could have even cooked those onions in your potatoes, but these did cook up, so it was no problem. My husband and I loved this soup. Sometimes when you just throw it together, you can make some of the best recipes, and this soup is a keeper. You won't believe how delicious this soup turned out. I added a few pinches of parsley to this, so I'm going to guess about a 1/2 teaspoon. At this point, go ahead and cut your stovetop eye or your burner onto simmer, stirring occasionally because you do not want to scorch that milk. Now I'm going to add some carrots, and you may ask, why didn't you add the carrots when you cooked your potatoes? You can do that if you want to. You do your own unique you. But I have a hack for those of you who have arthritis or a hard time cutting carrots. You can just put them in the microwave, and I put mine on my veggie setting, cook them, and they are so easy to cut, and then just add them to the pot. I added about 1 cup of carrots to this. Let's go ahead and cut that stovetop eye or that burner off because those carrots are done. And we just need to add our final ingredient, the cheese. And I like to use Colby cheese because it melts so well and it has such a good flavor. I used half this block of cheese, so that's 4 ounces. If you want this cheesier, you can add the whole block of cheese. And once you add that cheese, it starts melting immediately. I just stirred this until my cheese melted, and voila, we're done. This is ready to serve. And y'all, I'm not one to brag, but as the old saying goes, if the proof is in the pudding, well, y'all, the proof was in the pudding. This was absolutely so good. It was so flavorful, so rich and creamy, and it's just as good the next day.